This is the JFJ Conspiracy, where the shop talk is rock. This is the JFJ Conspiracy Podcast, where the shop talk is rock. My name is Frank, and what we have for you tonight is a very special interview with the one and only Tony Montana Cardenas from Jack Russell's Great White and Shadow and the Thrill. Hope you enjoy it. Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be here.
Really appreciate you coming on and helping out the JFJ Conspiracy Podcast. We'll talk about Jack Russell's Great White in a second, but why don't you share a little bit with the listeners on Shadow and the Thrill and tell us about the band a little bit.
Well, I have a, I'm a songwriter for the most part myself, and I've been kind of, hoarding material over the past several years, and I was going to, Jack and the band started working on an album, and I had submitted quite a bit of music for that, and I guess they're just kind of it just didn't really fit whatever they were interested in, and so I kind of took that stuff on my own. I said, okay, well, I'm going to work on getting these done on my own because I thought they were valid, and it was something I really wanted to do for myself. And I got a hold of my very my first choice collaborator is Brent Arcement, who's a drummer friend of mine and keyboardist friend of mine, who is actually used to live here in LA, but now has been back in his hometown of New Orleans for many years. And so I hit him up and we started talking about it, and basically I just packed my guitars and decided to go to New Orleans and get in a studio with him and start knocking them out. And so we started working on songs. We did 5 at first, and it turned out good, and the feedback we got from it was really nice. So we decided to do another 8 more, I think it was, or something like that.
Wow.
And I went back again, and so over about a year and a half of recording, I was bouncing back and forth from Los Angeles, studios here, studios in the studio in New Orleans, and back and forth, and finally we had all the tracking done, and my partner and the executive producer for the album, Pete Merluzzi,
right.
We started talking about, well, what are we going to do with this, and we need an entity so that we can go out and play live.
Right.
And I have a couple of bands that I've done in LA over the years. I had a band called Anna's Brother here in Los Angeles for, during the 2000s. I did some work and some recording with that band, and we kind of just didn't want to go back there, and so wanted something more representative of a blues infused direction.
Right.
And so we thought, okay, well, we started knocking ideas around, and Pete's a big radio historian person, and he loves all the old radio shows. And The Shadow, it's an old radio show from Orson Welles. And we decided to add The Thrill as a nod to B.B. King and The Thrill Is Gone. So
very good.
That's kind of where it came from, and so we decided to call it Shadow and the Thrill, and it kind of works out. I'm kind of the shadowy character, and Brent's the thriller. So That's where we're going with that.
Well, the two of you are a couple of awesome musicians.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, no. And I've noticed some of the times you've played live, you've had Dickie and Dan from Jack's band playing with you.
Yeah, they're so helpful, my gosh, to come out with me, and I was really in a bind there, and they raised their hand and said, "Hey man, we'll come out and play." I didn't have my normal players with me, and these special gigs, and then they were graciously stepped in, and of course those guys, the three of us play together a lot, so there's a lot of good chemistry there,
Right.
and a lot of kind of unspoken communication that happens musically between the three of us. So that was very comfortable.
Very good. I want to talk a little bit about the thought process of why you're only releasing singles as opposed to the whole album at once. And the reason I ask is we did a whole bit on one of our past podcasts about that. And we all have our own theories on why a band would do that. But what's your take on it?
Well, I think we wanted to build a little excitement and a little more awareness. I've been very careful not to cross collateralize with Jack's band, and to just kind of build this thing as organically as I can from the ground up.
Right.
And I think that in the end, that's probably the best thing to do. And so we felt as though if we were just to drop the entire album out there, that would just kind of be it, So by kind of squeaking, the songs out one by one, squeaking out the videos one by one, it seems to be working pretty good. I mean, I think what we're going to end up doing is probably after the fourth single, we'll end up dropping the entire album.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's that. So I would say we would have the entire album out before the end of summer.
Okay. Well, I know for me as a music fan, I look for that continuity in an album from cut to cut, and I'm missing that, and my only knock on you guys is when I download them on iTunes, they go to a separate folder because they're not part of an album,
Uh-huh.
So,
I hear you.
But
well, that won't be a problem for much longer, apparently. We're going to lose iTunes pretty soon.
Yeah, we're going to go to Apple Music. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like to keep things really organized too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of OCD in that way as well, and that really drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it'll happen. It'll happen, and then when the album does come, there'll be some extra goodies in there,
right.
And so we'll make it worth the wait, and I'm at first we were thinking about just dropping an EP,
right,
a 5-song EP at the end of summer, but I think maybe we're at a point where we should just go ahead and just let the whole cat out of the bag, because the truth is that the tracks that we've been sharing in the industry and amongst kind of super fans and what have you,
mm-hmm.
The songs that are the most talked about and most popular and pointed to are not the ones that we've released.
Right.
In fact, the songs that we've released are probably the not that they're not liked, but there seem to be songs that are really much more are touching a nerve. So we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting them all out at once now, and everybody can get on there and experience the whole thing. And I think people are going to really be blown away, quite frankly.
Oh, I think so. The last single, the Tommy Bolin cover, just unbelievable. You guys knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, that was a fun song. Yeah. Really fun track.
And, we're just the little guys here on our podcast, but we noticed you've been on Eddie Trunk now. So you're gaining some steam, huh?
Yeah, Eddie spun the song the other night and Drive Time, and he seems to really like the album and some of the cuts, and that's it was interesting. He picked that actually because we thought he'd go with a little bit heavier song that we provided to him, but he seemed to like that one, and that's cool, man. It's different sounding. I like the track because it's a little unusual, but it's funky, but it's cool, and there's cool grooves all the way through it, and Yeah, it's different. I don't know. People probably listen to it and just went, "What the hell is this?" But
No,
it's a testament to Tommy and
yeah,
Tommy Bolin. And he had he had a different way of approaching music.
right. No, he had a groove to him, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, my co-hosts Jim and Jerry are both out on assignment today, making a living. So I'm here with you. And Jim wanted me to ask, what's it like from going from, you were playing arenas once upon a time, and now you're playing smaller venues, both with Jack's Great White and in Shadow. So what's that feeling like? What's the mindset from going from thousands to maybe hundreds?
Well, the truth is back when we were in Great White, we would do the same thing. There would be arena shows,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'd go off to the UK and play in these little dives. So it's really not, it's not that different. And even today, there are select shows that I'll do with Jack. There are pretty good, pretty big shows,
Mm-hmm.
arena shows or festival shows.
Right.
So, I even did I did a tour with an Australian outfit that I was fronting called 2200,
Right.
and we did all arenas throughout the UK with Slash,
Mm-hmm.
and so it doesn't matter to me, playing. Getting up and doing this is it's kind of the same process. Doesn't matter how many people there are.
Right.
I find a larger crowd a little easier to play for,
Mm-hmm.
because the smaller is just more intimate.
Right.
But that kind of does work. It works for what I'm doing right now with Shadow, in that we are. I'm trying to create an intimate improv environment where things are happening. They happen in front of people's eyes.
Right. And you seem to have a very loyal following right out the gate, following you on Facebook and watching your fans. Like I said, it's slowly steamrolling into something that's going to be, I think, as big as you want it to be, because it's all in your hands at this point. And that kind of leads into, I know you're going to do Sammy's Summer Beach Bash and Car Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
We're really excited about that. That's, there you go. It's like we'll be going from, I think the night before, I'll be playing with Jack in Sacramento, probably in front of a couple hundred people.
Mm-hmm.
And then, who knows what's going to be at the Sammy show. There's 40,000 people
Right.
there last year.
Yeah.
Now, we're on the second stage. I don't expect us to be in front of the main stage crowd, but
Right.
it'll be big.
Oh, yeah.
And it should be fun. I think it'll be fun. So, yeah, you just kind of, I'm really excited to do my own headlining set.
Right.
And to really develop that, because then I get to truly get to do what I'm not just about doing what I want, but presenting what I think matters,
Right.
Which is a lot of fun. It's a very free feeling, it's cool.
That's great. Jerry wanted to ask me if you could talk about that feeling you got when you got the call that you were going to be in Great White way back when.
I never really did get a call. It just kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember a specific dinner right after I had started, right after I'd auditioned and played with the guys a couple times. I do remember a dinner with Alan Niven, the manager, and Michael Lardy, the other co-producer and keys and guitar player in the band at the time. I do remember that evening. That was kind of more like an official thing, because at that time, that's when they asked me to change my name.
Right.
and because they didn't, because there was an artist out at the time that was had some really negative press,
Right.
and they'd asked if I would change my last name, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I didn't care. At that point, I was 21 years old,
Right.
20 maybe years old, I think, and it's like whatever, yeah. You don't think about the ramifications,
Right.
30 some years later, I remember signing that name that night. Somebody had given me a wine glass to sign,
Uh-huh.
and signed it with my new name.
Yeah.
And literally my signature has not changed since that moment.
Right.
So,
That's
it just kind of, it is what it is.
There you go.
So that was, it doesn't, it was, I was just happy to be getting a little paycheck.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well,
that.
weren't you teaching guitar at the time too?
I was.
Yeah.
I really did have like a very nice little practice of what do you want to call it, following, I
Right.
guess, of students,
Mm-hmm.
and
Clientele. How about that?
getting a pretty good name for myself as a player and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But thank God I did get in the band, and thank God I ended up playing bass and really breaking down music,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of music for sure,
Right.
right? Blues-based rock,
Right.
and breaking it down to its absolute most elementary, form
Yeah.
as a bass player, and learning, and I really learned so much by doing that. I taught guitar and bass at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and as a technician, I was very good at, I can play anything if I
Right.
get my hands on it for long enough. So, playing bass was not a big deal. I felt like I could do that and do it proficiently.
Right.
But being proficient is one thing, and being, having an appropriate vocabulary is something else.
Right.
So that's what we did. We just kept working, and I started learning, and I really credit everybody in the band, but specifically Alan Niven, for teaching me to become a much better player and better musician all around.
Right. Jerry also wanted to ask about the process for making the videos back then too, because you guys were on MTV, and I think you were part of one of the most popular videos back then. And I just always remember it was like an airplane hangar or something, and were you guys playing in the round or something like that? But tell us about that. What is that? Was that work at that point?
Oh yeah, it's pretty grueling. I tell you, I think it's the most boring thing you could possibly imagine.
Right.
You arrive on set early, and you just basically stand around all day long, and every once in a while they'll pat you down and with makeup or whatever. You jump out there, work for 10 minutes or whatever it is, and then you're sitting around again. I don't know how these actors do it. These people that do movies and stuff. It's just miserable. It's tedious.
I think it's the payday for them,
Well, yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
But I used to really dislike doing the videos.
Right.
It was a drag. But at first it was exciting. Back in those days, there was really, really very big budgets for these things. I think the first video that I was on, which I did probably 2 days after that dinner I was talking to you about, was Lady Red Light, and that was in a huge hangar in Long Beach Harbor.
Right.
that they set up a full production stage, and holy shit, I mean, that was a 6-figure video shoot.
Right.
All of them after that were most definitely 6-figure, video shoots.
Yeah.
So the one thing you learn that I was very cognizant of is that this is a business,
Right.
that there is a lot of money being spent, that, this is not fucking around. And
Right.
the reason why the guy before me got let go is because he was flippant about, these things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you leave the band waiting for 4 hours or whatever at a time, and they're, you just can't do that.
Right.
You need to be on your game.
And he wasn't even the lead singer, for crying out loud,
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I suppose Jack could have. Jack's pretty responsible though.
Right.
He's already been always been on it pretty good.
Real quickly, let me ask, how is his health? Because
He's fine.
he's doing good. He looks a lot better, and it's like been a slow process, but it looks like he's been getting healthier. And
Yeah, I'm happy to see that he's made he's taking the time to take good care of himself, and
That's
his
good.
wife is great, and
Great.
I'm glad they're together, and glad she's on top of
that's great.
his ass.
Can you believe it's been 10 years since Platinum Masters Monster Circus?
I can't, and I just received a call from my partner Pete,
Uh-huh.
who was my partner on that as well.
Ah.
Yeah, I cannot believe it. I think, in fact, I'm pretty sure that I know that two of my friends from the show, Bruce Coolidge and Rudy Sarzo, were just playing with each other
Right.
the other, and I think in Vegas just yesterday or something. And Pete was there, and
Wow.
I'm sure when these guys all get together, I know that they really missed that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and it was I miss it too. So it's a shame. It goes, things come and go.
Right.
So there you go.
Well, you certainly got to share the stage with a lot of heavy hitters. And since then as well, we're talking Miles Kennedy and Slash, and the list goes on and on. But I got to know, Tony, tell me, and you don't have to give me a name, but in your career of playing with different individuals, has there been anybody where you've just said, screw it, it's not worth it, I don't want to play with this guy anymore?
Oh, gosh. That's a good one. No, not really. There have been some, not anybody that was notable,
Right.
honestly. I mean, I've had some disagreements or some, with certain players
Mm-hmm.
that I've been with, but no, not really. Not anybody that's really notable. Anybody that has some kind of a track record or pedigree.
Right.
They know how to act.
Yeah.
I think, and the truth is, I probably many times have just avoided
Right.
projects or jams or things where somebody was going to be there that I didn't think was my kind of person or my kind of player.
Right.
So I probably have kind of just inadvertently just avoided maybe people that I wouldn't have
There
liked
you
to
go.
play with. There's a certain level of, or a certain type of musician that I like to play with.
Right.
And I mean, there have been a lot of guys that I've played with that weren't really notable people, let's say, or known guys, just kind of,
Right.
musicians, players, whatever. They could be great or not great or whatever, but there's been a couple where you feel like you're carrying
Right.
everybody.
Right.
It's like, okay, these people they really don't know what they're doing.
Right.
They haven't had exposure to a level where you're expected to perform at a certain level.
Right.
So.
it seems like Jack's band is fairly ego-free. You guys look like you're having fun on stage. And
yeah, I think for the most part we are.
yeah,
It's not always, not always peaches and cream.
right,
But I think right now, actually, I think where we're at right now is probably one of the best places we've been in as a band. And
right,
unfortunately, we haven't been playing out that much.
yeah,
But as a band right now, I think we're the most solid that we've ever been,
right.
which I think is good.
Now, is that other band, and this happens with a lot of those 80s bands, there's more than one version out there. And I know you've been hit up with those questions plenty of times. Is there any animosity on your part with any of the other guys from that other band?
Well, yeah, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an animosity. I guess it's my own. No, not really.
Okay.
Not really. I don't think they've wished me any ill will.
No.
They did threaten to sue me if I was going to play with Jack.
Right.
They did threaten to sue me personally.
Wow.
Which I had several lawyers
Mm-hmm.
who were very close to me at the time.
Right.
I mean, these are not, these weren't ambulance chasers.
Right.
These were
Right.
some really very sophisticated, business lawyer, litigation guys and people, I should say.
Right.
And yeah, they just laughed that right off.
Good.
They said, go out there and do whatever you're going to do.
Right.
Yeah, they backed down.
Mm-hmm.
That was stupid of them.
Yeah. Well, I personally,
whatever. I figure that was a business decision that they wanted to try to
right.
maintain their the fact that they're 3/5 of the known lineup of the band,
Right.
and Jack and I are 2/5 of the known lineup of the band.
Right.
And I hate to say it, but Jack is definitely more than a fifth.
Yes.
He's the voice of the band. So
Right.
I have to say that I think our version certainly has, at the very least, equal weight, if not more so. So,
Well, I think
anyways.
as a fan and speaking as that, most people feel the vocalist, especially someone as well known as Jack, he's got such a unique voice that carries an awful lot of weight. Don't get me wrong. I love Kendall's guitar playing. Mark's an awesome guitar player, but anybody can chucka and get to that sound. Just my personal take on it. And I think,
Well, yeah, I mean, Jack is the voice, and I certainly appreciate what those other guys did back in the day.
yep.
I appreciate what we did as a unit.
Yes.
I appreciate the amount of work that we actually cranked out in
Right.
5 years. It was an immense amount of work, really,
Right.
if you look back at it. So, kudos to all of us
Right.
for that. Now we're all, established older people, and we have mortgages and
Right.
wives and girlfriends and kids in
Yes.
college and stuff. So
Right.
nobody's the same. It's not the same dynamic anymore.
No,
It's unfortunate.
And everybody deserves the right to earn a living.
That's what the federal judge said when that band was trying to keep Jack and I from going out and playing.
Yeah.
That's what the federal judge said.
Yeah.
And there you go.
That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate you coming on the JFJ Conspiracy Podcast, and I'll let you go from here.
Hey, thanks for having me, and maybe I'll get to meet the other guys in sometime in the future.
Oh, I'd love that, and I know they would. We get this Skype going. If we can do it on video, they will greatly appreciate it, because Jerry's facial expressions alone is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, I definitely next time we'll hopefully we'll see you guys at a show.
Yep.
Hopefully maybe we'll can see you at the Sammy Hagar show. That's September 28th and 29th, and my band Shadow and the Thrill will be there on Sunday.
Cool.
On second stage, and we hope to see a lot of our homeboys and
That's
home
right.
girls.
Hey, let's get out there and support it.
Home in the hood, man. So.
All right. Hey, I greatly appreciate it, Tony, and you take care of yourself.
Right on, guys. Thanks.
All right. Goodbye now.
Cheers.